Welcome everybody back to boostinmotion, guys, and today we're going to talk about the STILLEN supercharger kit for the VQ cars compared to should you just full bolt on and tune your VQ motor. But before I get into the video, guys, please, if you want to contact me at boostinmotion on Facebook, boostinmotion on Instagram, and my Gmail at boostinmotion. Alright guys, so let's get into the video. Alright guys, so on the internet, right, if you're a Nissan Infiniti guy, this argument has always been going around. Should you just supercharge your VQ, go F5 forced induction, or should you just go full bolt on and live your life that way? And which way is just more cost efficient, right? So let's just talk about this in the video, and let's just start with the STILLEN supercharger. Boom, it's like $7,000 if you have a VQ car. I mean, this is for the VQ 35 and up to the 37, right? $7,000, right? This is their V3 kit, and the pros about it is, one, 3-year 36,000 mile mileage warranty. That's freaking great. Don't modify it. Leave it the way it is. Don't modify the hardware and you're covered. Two, depending on the amount of fuel you run and their out of the box tuning from UpRev, on 91, you can see between 390 to about 410 to the wheels. I've been seeing a little bit lower depending on how hot it is outside. Remember, this is boost, so the hotter it is, the less power you're gonna make. But at the end of the day, that's a good amount of power for that kit. Now, some of the negatives is it is a $7,000 supercharger. It's expensive. If you go to Mustang groups, they have superchargers, Paxtons, and everything like that, and route style for about $4 grand. So I mean, this is a really expensive kit, and not everybody has $7,000 just lying around to just go get a kit. Now let's add a little bit more to this, right? You can install this kit in about half a day, but for people who can't install it themselves, that's an additional cost on top of the $7,000 if they go to a tuning shop. Now I'm gonna be honest with you guys too. You don't want to use the tune that comes out of the box. You want to go to an actual tuner that can actually precisely tune this car from being pig rich to run a lot more better and actually gain a lot more wheel power. So from what I've read and from what I've seen in videos, people have been making 420, 440, 450 to the wheels without changing the pull or anything when it just came to tuning, running 91 fuel, or even going into started running E85. That's an additional cost if you want to go in and put an intake pump and everything like that. But just leave it at 91 fuel. They're making about close to mid 400s to the wheels. That's a great price, and let's just leave that at about close to $8 grand installed and everything. Let's leave that close to that. Now let's go to a full bolt-on kit. I'm not really gonna necessarily draw this picture on Z1 Motorsports. You can check the card up here, but let's just talk about if you wanted to go buy test pipes and other few bolt-ons for your VQ. So let's just start off with, let's say, a Takeda intake. That could be about, let's just say, boom, $500, right? And let's go to test pipes. Test pipes could be about, boom, $200. The CATBACK exhaust could be another, let's say, $1,200, $1,300, right? Now we're right around $2 grand just for intakes and CATBACK exhaust and test pipes, right? Now, let's just draw a little bit more of a picture on the Z1 Motorsports 400 horsepower kit. You also have the intake manifold you can swap out, whatever the case might be. You're also going to want to, if you are rear-wheel drive, you can also add headers into there. That's going to bring your additional cost up maybe another $1,500 to $2 grand. Now, we're starting to see how much this costs. Now, we're getting close to about $3,500 to $4,000 just for those parts alone. And remember, some of these parts are not even installed yet. So you might have to pay additional amount of money to install headers, test pipes, CATBACK exhaust, intake manifold, and intakes, right? You're gonna have to do that. Now we're also gonna have to get this car tuned. Repeat, we're gonna have to get this car tuned. That could be another $600 to $1,000 to get this car tuned. So at about $5 grand, I would assume in my head, $5 to $6 grand, depending on how much parts you buy and everything, and the quality of parts. You're gonna make between about $320, from what they claim, $330, $340, $350 to the wheels. That's about $5 to $6 grand invested on just bolt-ons alone. Now you can add cams if you really want to, but at that point I don't see why you would do that. That's gonna be expensive modification to do. But if you want to do that, that's just adding a couple thousand even more. At that point, it doesn't make sense for you guys to go and do a full bolt-on VQ just to make $350, $360 to the wheels when you could just save up your money. I hate to say it like this, get a credit card, get a PayPal loan, whatever you got to do, and just get a supercharger, or it's going to give you consistent 420, 430, 440 to the wheels. When you do full bolt-ons, you're going to have to pay for installation, you're going to pay for different parts, you're going to have to deal with a bunch of headaches. And just to have a car that's full of bolt-on, but only make like 350, 360 to the wheels. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, it could be $1,000 to $2,000, $3,000 more for the supercharger. But some people get upset with me saying, they get offended. They're like, yo, oh, I think it's so much better to get bolt-on. You know what makes bolt-on affordable? You get test pipes and a CATBACK exhaust and an intake. That's it. When you start going into the intake manifold and you start going to get headers, you're basically getting barely minimal gains. I mean, you are gaining mid-range wheel horsepower, but your peak isn't as high as it is gonna ever get, period. So you will gain more mid-range power, which is mostly usable on the street, which is completely fine. But you guys want the peak wheel horsepower. That is where you're gonna be putting down. That's when you're on the highway and you're doing road racing, or you're having fun with the car, you're revving it out. That's when it's gonna really show. Why do you think Mustangs are so fast, those 10-speed Mustangs? Because they're at their highest peak horsepower majority of the time on the highway. That's what wins races. That's what wins races when it comes to road racing and on the track. It's good to get out the hole, but once you keep at that high RPM, you're at your peak wheel horsepower, you're gonna do the best. So honestly, guys, this is what I want to just condense. Honestly, I don't think it's cost efficient to go full bolt-on with a VQ and spend $5-6 grand and spend money on this type of stuff. When you look at it, you're like, you spent a lot of money. And let me add a little bit more to it. You can still also get EPS throttle bodies. That's an additional cost. I think those are like $700. And that gives you a larger bore throttle bodies, which allows you to have more air getting into the motor. Pretty much it flows a lot better into your side of your motor. But once again, it's minimal gains. And it's going to have to be tuned out to the point that you maximize it. Also, you can swap over to GTR injectors and run full 85. Now you're going to get a bit more peak wheel horsepower. You're going to get to run more aggressive timing. But at that point, I'm telling you guys, you're spending $8 to $9 grand. Period. On bolt-ons. Just go F5. You could go F5 on stock everything else. And here's the best part about going F5. Then you can say, you know what, let me go get test pipes. Test pipes are relatively cheap for you guys. $150, $200. That's gonna allow you to have more peak wheel horsepower because you're removing the flow. Then you could choose to add a CATBACK exhaust if you choose to, if you want to. At that point, you're good to go. Test pipes with a CATBACK exhaust, that could be another $1,000 to $1,200 to $1,300. And boom, you might gain even more peak wheel horsepower, guys. And then you can also go E85. I'm telling you guys, this game, when it comes to modifying cars, could definitely go one way or another way. But at the end of the day, guys, I don't see the sense in going full bolt-on E85 for a VQ. It's really going to be a waste of money unless you building the car up for F5. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't waste my time with the intake manifold. I wouldn't waste my time with an intake, to be honest. I really wouldn't, if I was going F5. But if I was gonna stay NA, I would just do the intake, leave the intake manifold alone, don't do headers, just do test pipe and CATBACK, and get a tune on UpRev or ECU Tech tune, either on 93 or E85 if you can. If you guys are around E85, go that route, because you'll gain the most wheel horsepower, and plus E85 is really good for the environment and it gains the most mile power. The only thing is you're gonna have a reduction of gas mileage. But otherwise than that, guys, I just want to make this short video or a long video on if you guys should go full bolt-on 3.7 or just go F5 and call it a day. So otherwise than that, guys, you can contact me at boostinmotion on Facebook, boostinmotion on Instagram, and boostinmotion at my Gmail. I appreciate you guys very much. You guys have an amazing morning, afternoon, and have a good night. Thank you.